Hello everybody and welcome back to the F2 show by Inside F2. It's British Grand Prix race week, and to celebrate we've got a British driver on the podcast. We've got Van Amersfoort Racing's John Bennett joining us. John, great to have you with us again. How are you?
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, no, really good, thank you. Yeah, really excited to talk about the season so far with you and kind of reflect on this season. We mentioned at the top British Grand Prix. We'll come on to that shortly. But I want to start off, if it's all right, just talking to you about the season so far. Obviously, we're halfway through the season now. How would you reflect on your first half of your first full season in Formula 2?
Yeah. I mean, it's been an amazing experience. Still can't really believe that I'm competing in F2 to begin with. But yeah, I mean, it has been a very tough season so far. Yeah, I mean, learning a lot with every weekend, and yeah, I mean, there's just been loads to learn. Pretty much every track we've been to, I've never raced at before. Yeah, I think literally every track we've been to so far. So yeah, there's been quite a few hurdles in terms of that. But yeah, I mean, every weekend I get more confident in the car, more confident with the team. And then yeah, now moving forwards, we've got some tracks that I've actually been to before, so that should really help things out.
Yeah, I bet you're looking forward to that. What's been the standout moments so far this season? Obviously, there's been a few moments, if you like. What's been the standout moment?
Yeah, I think Bahrain was really strong. We were P13 in quali, but only like a tenth off P5 or something, which again was a little bit frustrating, but really showed the importance of I mean, just nailing every corner you can, and then in the races as well, running in the top 10 in both of them, and then learnt a lot about tyre deg, managing the tyres, racecraft, all that sort of stuff with F2, and yeah, it was a really valuable experience that weekend as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. How much did the team help? Obviously, you work closely with the team on a weekly basis, I guess. How much have they helped you this season, going to settling in your first full season?
Yeah, hugely. I mean, I'm the most inexperienced driver they've had in F2, and well, probably the most inexperienced driver that there's been in F2. So they've really like rallied behind me. They're teaching me so much. They've got a lot of experience I can draw upon, and yeah, they've been great to work with all year.
Is it difficult sometimes, I guess, where it's probably been such a whirlwind of a season to actually take a moment to kind of soak it all in and kind of enjoy it? Have you had those mini moments where you've been like, wow, I'm in F2, and just take a moment to stop and soak it all up a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very important to stay grounded with like that reality, as it were. It's very easy to just go to each race weekend, just focus on the job and not really, take notes of what's happening. But yeah, a couple of times this season, it's really, dawned on me that this is Formula 2. Like going to Monaco for the first time, even opening the season at Australia. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, it's really cool. What have been the key learnings, would you say, from this season? Are there any standout learnings you'd say that have, I guess, maybe potentially helped you as you move through the season?
Yeah. Well, for sure, like I said, learning so much every weekend. But I'd say the biggest things are, um, we're really just like the limited track time. How the weekend works is completely pretty much the opposite of what I'm used to. In that, every session you're in, you only get one free practice, and then it's straight into qualifying on a completely different compound. And especially when I've never been to the track before, it's really about learning as much as you can in as short a space as possible. Um, and then also just the prep that goes into that. The preparation you take going into the weekend really just sets the whole thing up. So yeah, I'd say preparation and just learning on the spot is super important.
What does your race weekend prep look like? Is there, are you doing any simulator work? How does it look heading into a race weekend?
Yeah, loads of sim work. Spend a couple of days at the VAR factory before every weekend. Then also just going through data of previous years and then just watching back quali, free practice, the races, seeing if there's anything I can pick up on. Another thing with F2 is that there's no onboard, so there's nothing that you get during the weekend. So really, if there's any onboard in any of the previous, races or qualifying, it's super important to try and get that. And yeah, just trying to be as meticulous as possible in all aspects of the preparation.
Yeah, for sure. How much? Obviously, the team worked with Enzo Fittipaldi last year, who's a really experienced driver in Formula Two. How much, I guess, can you learn from Enzo's? The team have benefited from Enzo's experience. How much have you learned from them in that aspect? And like, how much data does the team have going into a race weekend? Obviously, I guess they've been to tracks like I don't know, say Bahrain has been there every single year since F2 started in 2017, and GP2 before that. So how much data do they have that they can give you?
Yeah, loads. Obviously it was a new car last year, but the old car is still quite relevant. And they've had some really great drivers over the years, like Enzo and Richard Verschoor. So being able to see their data is great to take with you into the weekend, and then it also just makes you realize uh, sort of how unique a driving style can be. All these drivers kind of attack tracks and corners in different ways, and sometimes multiple styles work. So it's really just about what works for you and what works with the car under you, and yeah, it's really good to be able to learn off of these drivers.
That's really interesting. So I don't think I've maybe apprehended how much a driving style can actually change. How would you describe your driving style? What's your could you describe it or
Yeah, I've always been quite a smooth driver.
okay.
I think I've
Benson Button
been.
style?
Yeah, sort of. I think which kind of suits Formula 2 better towards the races. I think I showed that, in Qatar and Abu Dhabi last year, jumping in, I had no clue what I was doing really, but I seemed quite naturally suited towards the races and managing the tires. Whereas some other drivers are the opposite, and then they're more aggressive in all their inputs, which can make them really strong in qualifying, but maybe less so in the race. And then it's about, looking at this data, seeing what drivers are doing, and piecing together the best bits and trying to put it together, which is definitely a lot easier than it sounds. I mean, a lot harder than it sounds, but
Yeah, hard as it sounds. Yeah, no, for sure. Is that potentially why you were so good in Bahrain? A high deg track, if smooth style, potentially not the tyre wear isn't. You're good with the tyre wear potentially.
Yeah, I was saying that Bahrain was going very well for the first half of the race, and then I actually super struggled with tyre day towards the end. So yeah, the smooth style there didn't exactly work as well as it did at Qatar and Abu Dhabi. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, learned loads from that weekend, and definitely took it forward.
Yeah, for sure. What's been your favourite track so far this season? Then you said obviously they've all been new. What's been your favourite track so far?
Yeah, I mean they have all been like incredible for different reasons. I really liked Australia, but we didn't actually get that much track time on it. FP there was like four red flags, and we didn't get the feature.
Yeah, the feature
I
race.
think
Yeah,
Monaco is super special, especially on a qualifying lap. It's I've never driven anything like that. Also Jeddah, the wall's so close and so high speed. I really enjoyed Imola. To be honest, every track we've been to has just been
yeah,
amazing. I'd say Monaco probably stands out as the most special. Like pretty much every corner I did in Monaco felt nothing like another racetrack. Like
yeah.
normally you go to a new track and you can compare it to a corner you've done before, but everything at Monaco just seemed completely different.
And how was that weekend as a whole? Obviously, going to Monaco for the first time. I mean, there's so much that goes on that weekend, right? That it's yeah, it must have been really special to be there on an F1 race weekend as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It is just a crazy weekend to start with. You do the track walk on the Wednesday with cars driving by. It's all just
Yeah,
a public road. And then like one session a day. Thursday practice, Friday quali. Yeah, I mean it's just crazy. And yeah, it's all just so busy. Like the whole city is all just rounds with Formula One. And even the cars, they're all set up in like a multi-story car park. Like there's no paddock for F2, which is pretty surreal in itself. So yeah, it's a crazy weekend.
that's crazy. Yeah, exactly. All right. Obviously, you took part in the last two rounds of last season in Qatar and Abu Dhabi. How is that? Has it helped you prepare for this season? Do you think you're better off this season for doing those two races at the back end of last season?
Yeah, for sure. It's very valuable. I mean, you get such little time in the F2 car that anything extra that you can do is always going to help. I think those two rounds went very strongly, and yeah, I mean, it was great to learn a bit before starting this season. But at the same time, it's kind of made me realize how, every weekend and every track's just a brand new challenge. There's so many unique characteristics with every weekend and with changing tire compounds and everything like that, that you can't actually take much through weekend to weekend. You almost have to approach everything with a clean slate. So yeah, for sure it's really helped having those 2 rounds, but at the same time, there's still a lot to learn.
Yeah, for sure. What kind of things have been? I mean, pit stops. Obviously, you at GB3, you never did a pit stop. I guess unless you had any damage.
Yeah.
It is yeah. How has that been? It's what's the most difficult part of a pit stop? Is it stopping on your marks? Is it I mean, even for the pit entry, you've got to slow down. You've got to reduce your speed so much, right? That's a learning in itself, no?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like every aspect of it really is like stopping on the marks is so important, and even more so important than in Formula One, for example, because F1 they have 3 guys on each tire, whereas in F2 it's only one guy. If you're slightly off the mark, it completely completely can mess him up and lose you like a second or two or three. And then yeah, like you say, the pit entry, even the pit exit. And yeah, the pit entry is something that you don't really get to practice because, when you go into the pits in FP, you're usually in a train of cars, so you can't even attack that. And so sometimes the first time you push a pit entry is the race, and then it's just a complete guess. And,
Yeah.
maybe you get it spot on, maybe you get a penalty, or maybe you lose 2 seconds because you broke too early. So yeah, I mean, everything about it is just about, adapting and learning on the fly and yeah, just getting used to all these new processes.
Yeah, for sure. Your teammate Rafa Gomez, he's had a good season actually. Obviously, podium last time out as well, or a few races ago. Yeah, how much have you learned from him, and how's that relationship?
Yeah, yeah, learned a lot for sure. Really get on well with Rafa. He's yeah, a really nice guy, and yeah, yeah, he's always happy to teach me things. He's definitely got a lot of experience to draw upon with seasons in F3, and this is now his second season in F2. And the fact he stayed with VAR the whole time really shows that he's got a great relationship with the team, and yeah, I mean there's definitely a lot to learn from him.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, it'll be you on the podium next, right? It's yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
Listen, John, it's British Grand Prix race week, your home race. How excited are you to race in front of your home fans for the first time on British Grand Prix race weekend?
Yeah, yeah, super excited. This is really the one I've been looking forward to all year.
Yeah.
When people have been asking me, what I'm looking forward to, I've always, there's been a couple tracks, like Monaco, but I think Silverstone is really the main one for me. It's the track that I'll feel the most comfortable at. And then, I mean, it's just a dream, to race on a British Grand Prix weekend, in front of all the home fans. Yeah, I think it'll be super special.
Yeah, for sure. Did you ever go to the British Grand Prix growing up?
No, not really. We could actually, yeah, never made it. I mean, I've basically watched it every year, but yeah, I could never really make it live. So it'll be really cool to see it.
Yeah, for sure. And have you got any favourite moments of the British Grand Prix as you've been watching from home, for example? Are there any standout moments that you've enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every one of Lewis's wins. He's had quite a few special ones. A recent memory when he came across the line with 3 wheels
Yeah.
was obviously pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of special wins there. Even his first one was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And you're now part of that weekend. Obviously, that's going to be a special feeling. Yeah, is that a bit of a pinch me moment? If you'd have told I don't know, an 11-year-old John Bennett that you'd be racing in Formula Two on a Formula One race weekend, would he have believed you?
Definitely not. I mean, at 11 years old, I hadn't even really driven a go-kart for the first time, so I think he'd be pretty confused what you're on about. But no, it'll be absolutely amazing. Like I said, I grew up watching F1 the whole time, and yeah, I mean, to race at the British Grand Prix is just a complete dream come true. And the past couple of years, I've raced there and other things, but to do it, on an F1 weekend is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you alluded to earlier that you're going to move into a period of the season where you're returning to tracks that you have been before. Obviously, obviously GP3, you've raced there previously as well. How does that almost give you a bit of confidence going into the weekend? That it's a track you're familiar with and a track that you've been so many times growing up.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it speeds up the learning process a lot. Obviously, now I know the tracks, but I'm still probably visited it maybe less than everyone else on the grid. But it for sure gets us closer. And but Silverstone is one track where I've really been there a lot and had a lot of success there. I've been on the podium there every year that I've raced actually. So hopefully I can keep that streak going. But yeah, I think it'll definitely help out. You never know what the weather's going to do at Silverstone as well, and I've definitely driven there in every condition there can be. So yeah, I think there'll be a bit of a home advantage for myself and the other British drivers.
Yeah, for sure. You're going to have a lot of fans cheering you on, that's for sure. First maiden podium at Silverstone, that would be quite something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. That would be pretty cool.
Good stuff. All right. Listen, we've got a bit of a game lined up for you if you're up for it. Obviously, British, or what we call Cockney rhyming slang, which people across the world, we have viewers from across the world, John, so people might not be familiar. But essentially, it's a small phrase that then means a word in British, right? So if I was to say to you, apple and pears, what would you say that means?
I have no clue actually. Maybe I'm going to be a lot worse than I thought I'd be. I
So
can only
apple and
think of
if you're
think
going
of
up the
fruits.
apple and pears,
Um,
not sure.
this is gonna make me seem not English, not British, right? Yeah, I
That's
don't
all right.
know.
So apple and going up the apple and pears could be going up the stairs, right? So it's yeah. It's, for people who aren't familiar with British or Cockney rhyming slang, it's kind of a word that rhymes with the saying, if you like. So next one is bees and money. Sorry, I've just said it. Bees. Whoops, hang on, cut that out. Cut that out. Producer James, cut that out. That one's obviously bees and honey is money. Next one is dog and bone. Know that one? If you're
Um,
speaking on your dog and bone,
I was speaking on the phone.
speaking on the phone, there you go. He's got it. Next one is Ruby Murray. Know what that one is?
Um,
If
this is
you
actually so hard.
if you're eating a Ruby Murray,
Um, I only think of a McFlurry, but I'm not sure if that's the
I
one.
tell you what, that would be amazing if it was a McFlurry. It's actually curry, but actually, I might start using that for a McFlurry. To be fair, so I like that. If you were to tell a porcupine, what would that be?
I should I tell a lie.
Telling a lie, absolutely. He's got it. If you were to use bangers and mash, what would that be? Do you know?
No, I don't know actually.
You use bangers and mash to pay for something.
Oh, cash.
Cash, he's got it. There you go. And the last one is well, something I'm sure you definitely use on when you're in the car. So your mince pies.
Um, uh, I
You,
actually have
you
no clue.
you use them to look at the apex as you enter in the corner.
Oh, your eyes.
Your eyes, your mince pies, your eyes, definitely. There you go.
I was a lot. I was a lot worse than I thought.
Bit of fun, isn't it? A bit of fun. It's we'll help you brush up on your Cockney rhyming slang, mate, before the British Grand Prix. Not a problem. So all good fun. Listen, John, it's been great to have you on the podcast. Do you have a message for your fans going into the British Grand Prix weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'd just love to say thanks for all the support this year. It's been a dream come true, like I've said, to be racing in F2, and yeah, to all the people that support me, it really means a lot. And yeah, I mean, I'm massively looking forward to the British Grand Prix and the rest of the year, and yeah, hopefully I can get a good result, and yeah, it'll be great to do that at home.
Spot on. Thank you, John. Listen, from all of us here at Inside F2, wishing you the best of luck for not only the British Grand Prix, but for the rest of the season. And pop on at the end of the season. You up for another catch up at the end of the year?
Yeah, for sure, anytime.
Cool. Okay, lots more coming up from Inside F2. Maybe another driver interview. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And we're definitely going to be having our British Grand Prix race review podcast as well with Aaron and with Martin as usual. You know what to do. Keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you subscribed for more content. But from me, Fraser Ford, and all of us here at Inside F2, we'll see you next time.